My esteemed sister and brother judges, Mr. Chetan Sharma, Additional Solicitor General of India, Mr. Rakesh Sherawat, Chairman Bar Council of Delhi, Mr. Mohit Mathur, President, Delhi High Court Bar Association, Ming, Vice President, High Court Bar Association, Mr. Abhijat, Secretary, Delhi High Court Bar Association, Mr. Santosh Kumar Tripathi, Standing Counsel Civil, Government of the City of Delhi, Standing Councils of the Central and State Government, Executive Members of the Delhi High Court Bar Association, Office Bearers of Bar Council of Delhi and District Bar Associations, Senior Advocates, Members of the Bar, Family Members of late Justice Rajendranath Agarwal, Family Members of late Justice ARUN SAHARYA, Ladies and Gentlemen. It is with immense sense of sadness that we have assembled today to condole the demise of Mr. Justice Rajendranath Agarwal, former Chief Justice of this court, and Mr. Justice ARUN SAHARYA, former Judge of this court and former Chief Justice of the Punjab and Haryana High Court. Justice ARUN Agarwal was born on 21st August 1925. He did his matriculation from Punjab University, Lahore, and graduation from Government College, Lahore. He completed his LLB degree from Law College, Lahore and Shimla. He enrolled as an advocate of the East Punjab High Court at Shimla on 19th April 1951. He started practicing law at Shimla and Chandigarh. Later on, he was appointed as a district and session judge from the bar in September 1963 and worked diligently and competently as additional district and session judge at Gurdaspur, Amritsar and at Delhi, and as district and session judge at Mahasu, Kinnaur, Shimla, Bilaspur and Sirmaur. He was appointed to the Delhi Higher Judicial Service on 17th May 1971. He worked as Registrar Delhi High Court from 9th of March 1971 to 8th of June 1971 and was appointed as an additional judge of the Delhi High Court on 7th March 1972. During his tenure as an additional judge of the Delhi High Court, he was fiercely neutral and courageous. He did not succumb to any pressure and upheld the fundamental rights of the citizens during the emergency without ruminating about his career. During the emergency, sometime in July 1976, senior journalist Mr. Kuldeep Nair, father of Mr. Rajiv Nair, senior advocate, was detained. His wife filed a habeas corpus petition in this court, which was dealt with by the bench comprising of Justice Rangarajan and Justice ARUN Agarwal. The division bench allowed the writ petition and declared the detention of Mr. Kuldeep Nair illegal, well with the government of the day. Justice Rangarajan was transferred to Guwahati, while Justice Agarwal was not confirmed and stood reverted to the post of district and session judge. This did not discourage Justice Agarwal from continuing to discharge his duties with the same sense of honesty and enthusiasm. Only after the installation of a new government at the centre, Justice Agarwal was appointed a permanent judge of the Delhi High Court on 7th of July 1977, and his seniority was restored accordingly. After a little over a decade, he was appointed as the Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court on 16th August 1987, till his retirement on 21st August 1987. I joined the bar in the middle of 1986, and I can recollect seeing him adorning court number 2 for most of the time. He was very pleasant in his demeanour and courteous towards the members of the bar. Justice Deepak Gupta, retired Judge Supreme Court of India, paid his tribute to Justice ARUN Agarwal in a beautifully authored article with the caption, and I quote, "The judge who said no." In his article, he writes, and I quote, "My father died when I was 13 and my two brothers were aged 9 and 1. Justice Agarwal, or Jindi Uncle as we called him, was a pillar of strength and support to us and a father figure to me. He was a bachelor but devoted to his family and friends. He took great care of his parents, siblings, friends and their children. He was one of the most gentle and unassuming souls I have known. Even after all that, He had suffered, he had no rancor and held no grudge against anyone. He was extremely calm and humble. He held the office of the judge lightly. Every morning, he would go to the market to buy fruit. He loved the mountains, and our family looked forward to his frequent visits to Shimla. He would take us for long drives, picnics, and to restaurants. Unquote. Even after his retirement, Justice ARUN Agarwal continued serving justice to the people and was appointed as the first Lok Ayukt of Delhi in 1997, which post he held till December 2002. He was also appointed as chairman of a committee constituted by the Honorable Supreme Court in the year 2004. Justice ARUN Agarwal also served as an arbitrator in a number of matters. He settled down in his family house at Chandigarh. Today, Justice Agarwal is dearly remembered not just for his service as a judge, but also as a person of high ethics and moral courage. He is an example of a judge who never got influenced by exterior social environment. His impartiality, integrity, competence, and diligent approach in dealing with matters will always be remembered. Justice Agarwal left for his heavenly abode on 6 June 2021 at the age of 95. Justice Agarwal was a bachelor and is survived by his younger brother, Mr. Nripendranath Agarwal, his sister-in-law, Mrs. Kiran Agarwal, IAS retired, wife of Justice Agarwal's youngest brother, late Shri B.N. Agarwal, advocate of the Punjab and Haryana High Court, and his nephews and nieces. His sad demise has created a void not just for his family and friends, but for the entire legal fraternity at large. I, on behalf of my sister and brother judges, and also on my own behalf, convey our heartfelt condolences to the members of the bereaved family and pray to Almighty to give them strength to bear this irreparable loss. May the Almighty bestow peace upon the departed soul. We have also assembled here to condole the passing away of Justice Arun Bahadur Saharya. Justice Saharya was born on 15 September 1940 in Delhi in a distinguished educationist family. He had his schooling at Cambridge School, Delhi, and did his graduation from St. Stephen's College, University of Delhi. He earned his LLB degree from University of Delhi, following in the footsteps of his father, late Shri Sardar Bahadur Saharya, a distinguished lawyer. He enrolled as an advocate of the Mysore State Bar Council in October 1963 and later enrolled with the Delhi Bar Council in August 1965. He had started practice in the chamber of Honorable Mr. Justice Prakash Narayan, former Chief Justice of this court, who was a senior advocate at that time. When he started his independent practice, he was appointed a central government standing counsel for the Union of India. He was engaged by several statutory bodies while in practice and did a lot of private work. He was designated as a senior advocate by the Delhi High Court on 19th of November 1984. There were not many who could match his brilliance in court. He was witty and was always ready with an answer to any question thrown at him. He was always courteous in the court. His conduct, both in public life and private life, was a lesson in grace and etiquette. He was an outstanding senior advocate who made a great name for himself at the bar. And stood out as a perfectionist. He worked very hard and was very thorough with his briefs. He was a great mentor to his juniors. He encouraged them to think systematically and logically while approaching a case. He would take his juniors out for lunch after winning an important case. He was a guide who took exceptional interest in the growth of his juniors and was a fine human being. While having a roaring practice in this court, he accepted the call of duty and was appointed as a permanent judge of the Delhi High Court on 24th April 1986. And after serving for over 11 long years, he was elevated as the Chief Justice of the Punjab and Haryana High Court on 7th November 1997, where he served the third longest term as a Chief Justice of the Punjab and Haryana High Court from 7 November 1997 to 14th September 2002. Justice Saharya was the epitome of propriety and uprightness in all walks of life. He had a great sense of humor, which was subtle and understated. On a personal note, Justice Saharya was a very good friend of my father, late Mr. G.L. Sanghi, and regarded him as his elder brother. We were neighbors in Nitibag, his house being diagonally opposite ours. When Mr. G.L. Sanghi passed away overseas, without our family asking for any assistance, he, on his own, was present at the airport with full protocol services of the Delhi High Court arranged to receive his remains. He was appointed the chairperson of the Quota Review Committee formed by the then government, and he also headed the SAHARYA Commission appointed by the Supreme Court to look into financial irregularities by CMDs of banks and other bank officials. After finishing the said engagement, he restarted his practice as senior advocate in the Supreme Court of India. He also conducted arbitrations and was known for concluding proceedings and passing awards in the shortest possible time. He was also actively involved in judicial training and lectured judges in Delhi and Chandigarh judicial academies. In his personal life, he was a loving and caring man and never let his professional life have any reflection on his personal life. He was a nature lover and looked for any vacation to drive up to the hills with his family. Post-retirement, he also spent a lot of time reading books and kept himself abreast with latest judicial pronouncements and development in law. He was married to Srimati Prabha Saharya, who died on 15th March 2020, and is survived by his brother Sri Vishnu Bahadur Saharya, his nephew advocates Vivek B. Saharya and Viresh B. Saharya and their families. Justice ARUN Bahadur Saharya left for his heavenly abode on 20th May 2021. For the last 2 years of his life, he was hospitalized for his heart and lung ailments and died in Delhi due to COVID-19 complications at the age of 80. With the passing of Justice Saharya, the judicial profession has been left poorer as one of its most prolific minds has moved on to his heavenly abode. I, on behalf of my sister and brother judges, and also on my own behalf, convey our heartfelt condolences to the members of the bereaved family and pray to Almighty to give them strength to bear this irreparable loss. May the Almighty bestow peace to the departed soul.
My Lord, the ex-Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court, Justice Vipin Sanghi, Honorable Justice Siddharth Mandul, Honorable Justice Manmohan, all Honorable Judges of this Honorable Court, the President of the Delhi High Court Bar Association, the Vice President, the Secretary, distinguished members of the Executive Committee, Mr. Shehrawat, of the Bar Council of Delhi, Mr. Santosh Tripathi, Standing Counsel Civil, GNCTD, Mr. Sanjay Lau, Standing Counsel Criminal GCTNDD, Chairman, distinguished members of the Bar Council of Delhi, office bearers of the District Court Bar Association, senior counsels, members of the Bar, family and friends of late Justice ARUN AGGARWAL ji and late Justice A.B. Saharya ji, ladies and gentlemen, we are again gathered here in a short while than we were about 10 days ago to condole the death of two of the former judges of this Honorable Court as we do today. Justice ARUN Aggarwal and Justice Saharya represent the classic epitome of the judges that were judges in the classical sense and the classical mold. Insofar as Justice ARUN Aggarwal is concerned, he was born in 1925, started his education in pre-partition India and lived a very full life as a bachelor and left this earthly place at the ripe old age of 95 years. His primary practice was in Simla and Chandigarh before he moved on to the bench in 1963 and served as district and session judge in Gurdaspur, Amritsar and Delhi. Justice ARUN Aggarwal was the second son of the late Dwarka Nath Aggarwal, senior advocate, bar at law, who in turn was the son of a lawyer. As said, he was born in 1925 in Barnala, Punjab. Having done his matriculation from Lahore, he studied in Shimla and completed his law degree from the Punjab University in 1948. He enrolled as an advocate of the then East Punjab High Court at Simla on 19th of April 1951. He practiced in Simla and Chandigarh, did civil and criminal work whilst at the bar, was appointed as district and session judge directly from the bar in 1963, worked as additional district and session judge at Gurdaspur, Amritsar and at Delhi. Consequent upon the reorganization of the Punjab, his services were allocated to Himachal Pradesh, worked as district and session judge, Mahasu, Kinnaur, Shimla, Bilaspur, Sirmaur, appointed substantively to the Delhi Higher Judicial Services at its initial constitution with effect from 17/5/71. He worked as a registrar of this Honourable Court from 9/3/1971 to 7/6/1971 and thereafter as a district and session judge. He was appointed as an additional judge of this Honourable Court for a period of 2 years from 7/3/1972. Being the senior most additional district judge, in normal course he would have made a permanent judge, but that was not to be for the reasons spelt out by Justice Sanghi and some other incidents which did take place. In November 1975, Chief Justice Tatachari of the Delhi High Court came to visit and with tears in his eyes informed that the government had made it clear that Justice Aggarwal would not be a confirmed judge as a permanent judge. After serving an honest and extremely competent High Court judge for 4 years, he was reverted to the post of district and session judge. This is part of the record. After the revocation of the emergency, the government of the day decided to reappoint Justice Aggarwal and restored his original seniority. As such, Justice Aggarwal was permanent judge of this Honourable Court from 7/7/1977. He was thereafter appointed the Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court on 16th of August 87. He retired as Chief Justice of this Honourable Court on 21st of August 1987. After his retirement, as Justice Sanghi pointed out, he was appointed as the first Lok Ayukta of Delhi in 1997, which post he held till his retirement in December 2002 and thereafter settled down in his family house in Chandigarh. He did many arbitration matters and was also appointed chairman of a committee constituted by the Honourable Supreme Court in 2004. And as said earlier, he breathed his last on the 6th of June 2021 at the ripe old age of 95 years. I am told that he had a very perfect live memory, that he could recall any judgment of the past, and even at the age of 95, he would read each of the Honourable Supreme Court's judgment and discuss the same. He was fond of food, he was fond of life, he was very vibrant, notwithstanding the fact that he was a bachelor, or the fact that most of his time was spent in reading, and he was so kind to his relatives that they would all come up to him and spend hours and hours with him. We wish he's survived by his brother, Mr. Nripendranath Aggarwal, his sister-in-law, Mrs. Kiran Aggarwal, IAS, retired, wife of Justice Aggarwal's youngest brother, late Shri B.N. Aggarwal, who was an advocate of the Punjab and Haryana High Court, his nephew and nieces who are here. We condole his death. Justice SAHARYA was an epitome of grace, and it is said that whoever went to meet him, he stood up to greet him, whether it was a junior or some person who had spent more time in life. As a former Chief Justice of the Punjab and Haryana High Court, Justice SAHARYA left this mortal body following COVID-19 complications. Justice SAHARYA was admitted to a Delhi hospital and had tested positive. He left this world at the age of 80. He was elevated as the Chief Justice on November 7, 1997 from the Delhi High Court. He was an old school judge who valued propriety and traditions of the bar over everything else. His conduct, both in his public life and also in his private life, was a lesson in grace and etiquette. As said, he would stand up to receive whoever entered his chambers to meet him, irrespective of stature, social standing, age. He was an outstanding senior advocate who made a great name for himself at the bar and stood out as a perfectionist. He carried this straight to the bench as well, where he continued to be driven by perfection. As young advocates who entered the bar, we had fond memories of appearing before Justice SAHARYA, and one such memories were in his at his demeanor best in court number 3, where he would pose the question as he would do in perfect diction and perfect grace, and he would ask the counsel, please frame your questions of law. And if the lights were out, you could not make out whether you were actually in the Delhi High Court or you were in a court of appeals in England. His demeanor, his grace, his diction was so perfect, and his mannerisms were really were outstanding and courteous to everybody. He was firm. Yes, there were many who said that he took a little bit of longer time than he did, but then he always said, haste, my son, always had made waste. Such was Justice SAHARYA. He will be remembered with great fondness. His family is here. We pay our homage and respects to these two stalwarts of this honorable court. They will be remembered for their being the sentinels of the locus classicus of what judges are all about, and we shall remember them as such. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Honorable the Acting Chief Justice of the Honorable High Court of Delhi, Justice Vipin Sanghi, Honorable Judges of our Honorable High Court, Learned Additional Solicitor General of India, Shri Chetan Sharma Ji, Mr. Jatan Singh Abhijat, Vice President Honorary Secretary of the Delhi High Court Bar Association, other office bearers of the Executive Committee of the Delhi High Court Bar Association, the Chairman and distinguished members of the Bar Council of Delhi, Mr. Santosh Tripathi, Mr. Sanjay Lau, Standing Counsels for the GNCTD, office bearers of other district bar associations, senior counsels and dear members of the bar, friends and family of late Justice ARUN AGGARWAL Ji and late Justice Arun Bahadur Saharia Ji, ladies and gentlemen. Today we meet again to pay our tributes to two fallen giants of this honorable bench, late Justice ARUN AGGARWAL and late Justice Arun Bahadur Saharia. On this solemn occasion, we have an opportunity to remind the younger generation about these great men who taught us so much throughout the course of their lives. We remember their golden years here at this glorious court. So we gather in this great hall to pay homage and a tribute to the dearly departed souls and share solidarity with their grieving families, friends, and peers. I feel this court, both the bar and the bench, would unanimously agree that the passing away of Justice Aggarwal and Justice Saharya is not just a professional but also a personal loss to many. I see several of us here today who have learned so much from them, and some of us who have been blessed to have had the opportunity to have interacted with them or have appeared before them at some point in our lives. It is truly overwhelming to lose the men who saw this institution growing right from its inception. Words cannot describe the stature and standing of these stalwarts back in the day. Lucky were those who could witness such men from close quarters, for these men are rarely made anymore. As already mentioned, Justice Aggarwal was born in 1925 and had his education in pre-partition India in Lahore, and he joined the bar in 1951. Though he had had a little ups and downs in his career as discussed, the destiny had it, and he superannuated finally as the Chief Justice of this Honorable Court. We lost Justice Aggarwal in June of 2021 at a ripe old age of 95. But even today, one remembers him as a staunch defender of civil liberties and human dignity. From whatever I had heard from those senior to me about him, his calm, composed, and compassionate demeanor allowed the counsels to plead their cases with ease, and the atmosphere in the court would seldom be tense. I never had the chance to ever appear before him, as I was still a student, not even a law student at the time. But I definitely had a chance to interact with him on a personal level, since those days the bench and the bar were freely meeting each other, and even people like us who were just young students would get the chance to meet the judges and interact with them and seek their advice. Justice Saharya, it need not be said, was an absolute pillar of this institution. From an early age, I would hear ever so highly of him. And when I finally came of age, I realized Justice Saharya was truly a role model of his times. The sadness of his demise is only eclipsed by the immense pride we take in saying that Justice Saharya belonged to our High Court. The man epitomized grace and propriety both on the bench and off it. I've had the chance and the good fortune of sharing a personal relationship with him since he was very close to the family. And that is perhaps one of the reasons I never got to appear before him, as I was not even allowed to. He was our neighbor and a dear family friend, and something which I have always been reminded throughout my childhood was that he and my father both joined the school the same day and joined this profession the same day, got enrolled together at Mysore, because in that time, because of 1961 Advocates Act, Mysore being a state, Part B state, that was the only state enrolling the advocates. And 31st of October 1963 was his date of enrollment, when 17 of these young men from Delhi University went, stayed at Sri H.B. Dattar's house in Bangalore, and then finally moved on to Mysore to get themselves enrolled. Justice Saharya was designated as a senior advocate from this honorable court in 1984, and shortly thereafter, in 86, he was appointed a judge of this court. Regrettably, Justice Saharya left us in May 2021 due to COVID-related complications at the age of 80. The void he leaves in my own heart leaves me without much else to say, except that I hope, Arun uncle, I hope you are in a better place. And I hope and this bar are able to live up to your standards and principles. The presence of such men ensured harmony in our fraternity and built confidence of the people in this institution. We are merely the younger generations who have taken the baton from these great men and must now strive to live up to their hopes and dreams. Though it is true that times have changed radically since the days Justice AGGARWAL and Justice Saharya, it is incumbent upon us the dignity of the institution and the relations between the bench and the bar. I may invoke the Almighty and pray for strength to the families and next of kin of late Justice Sri ARUN Aggarwal ji and late Sri Arun Saharya ji, and nothing that we have said here can make up for the void left in their absence. I also extend on my behalf and on behalf of the Delhi High Court Bar Association our deepest condolences to all the bar and the bench were like his family, and we all remember you today as the grand old man of this very family, sir. My heartfelt condolences to Justice Arun Saharya, sir, his brother, Mr. Vishnu Saharya, and his family, his nephews, Vivek and Viresh, both practicing in this court, who I have the pleasure of working with every now and then. And I'm sure they'll carry Justice Saharya's legacy forward. With folded hands, I thank Justice AGGARWAL and Justice Saharya for their contribution. Cherish the memories left behind you as we move forward. Om Shanti.
Honorable Chief Justice Shri Vipin Sanghi, other judges of this court, Shri Chetan Sharma, Additional Solicitor General, Shri Murari Tiwari, Member Bar Council, Shri Rajiv Khosla, former President Delhi High Court, Member Bar Council, President Delhi High Court Bar Association and his entire team, Standing Counsel NCB Delhi Shri Santosh Tripathi, senior advocates, fellow colleagues at bar, family members of the Justice Saharya and Justice AGGARWAL, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Life asks death, "Death, why does everyone loves me but hates you?" Death replied, "Because you are a beautiful lie and I am a painful truth." Today, we are here to share our pains for the recent demise of Justice Saharya, who passed away on May 2021, and Honorable Justice ARUN Aggarwal, who passed away in June 2021. Both former judges of this court. With all sadness and sorrow, we pay our sincere homage to both the judges. Much has been already said about the departed soul by previous speaker. I would like to add some memories. Late Justice Saharya was designated as senior advocate in the year 1984, and within a span of 2 years, he was appointed as permanent judge of this court. Justice Saharya was symbol of propriety and uprightness in all walk of life. Late Justice Saharya, quite an impressive personality that could leave anyone in awe of him. The judgment delivered by him were not only in the grey area of law, but also beautifully worded, as my lord has great command over English language. Lawyers remained attentive in his court because the way he held the courts kept every lawyer on his toe. He always supportive to the junior lawyers. One of the instances I want to quote, when I joined the bar in 90, Justice Saharya appointed me as amicus curiae in the murder reference. And I learnt a lot while arguing the case before him. My lord always teach junior lawyers about the intricacies of law. Speaking about Justice Aggarwal, I would like to quote, "When the going get tough, the tough get going." Such was the personality of Justice Aggarwal, and he was a fearless judge, never afraid of taking any action, whether against government, institution, or individuals. He showed this instinct during emergency period. Because of this, he left such a deep-rooted memories to remember all the generation to come. I salute him for his courageous decision taken during emergency period. Such was the style and the charisma of Justice Saharya and Justice Aggarwal. I, on behalf of the member of Bar Council of Delhi, convey my sincere condolence to both the bereaved family and pray to God that departed soul may rest in peace. Om Shanti Om.
Honorable the Chief Justice of Delhi High Court, Honorable Justice Vipin Sanghi ji, Honorable Justice Siddharth Mittal Sahab, Honorable Justice Manmohan, all esteemed judges of the Honorable Delhi High Court, Mr. Chetan Sharma, ASG Union of India, Mr. Rakesh Rawat, Chairman Bar Council of Delhi, Mr. Mohit Mathur, President Delhi Bar Association, Office Bearers of Association, Mr. Sanjay Law Standing Counsel Criminal, all ASCs, Civil and Criminal Side, Government of and City of Delhi, senior advocates, respected member of Bar, family member of late Justice Arun B. Saharya and late Justice ARUN Aggarwal. Today we have assembled here to pay homage to late Justice Saharya and Justice Aggarwal, former judges of the Honorable Delhi High Court. Justice A.B. Saharya was born on 15th September 1940 in a family of eminent educators. He did his graduation from St. Stephen's College, Delhi University. Following the footsteps of his father, late C. S.B. Saharya, he did his LLB from Delhi University. In October 1963, he became a member of the Mysore State Bar Council, and in August 1965, he joined the Delhi Bar Council. He was designated as senior advocate by the Delhi High Court with effect from 19th November 1984. Justice Saharya was appointed as a permanent judge of the Delhi High Court on 24th of April 1986. Later on, 7th November 1997, he was appointed as the Chief Justice of Punjab and Haryana High Court, where he was the third longest serving judge as Chief Justice, having served from November 7, 1997 until September 14, 2002. During his tenure as a judge, Justice Saharya decided numerous crucial cases. In Gloria Chemicals versus RK Cables, he held that the parties to the civil litigation should not be penalized for their counsel's mistakes or inactions if their own actions are legitimate. His decision in Wings Wear Corporations versus Workman Demarcation tribunal's jurisdiction, he demarcates tribunal's jurisdictions and reference to the relevant government under the Industrial Dispute Act. Justice Saharya authored an important decision in a high-profile case of Indian Chemical and Pharmaceutical Works and the state of Andhra Pradesh, which involves the constitutionality of certain legislation governing the manufacturers and the exporter of chemicals. After his retirement as the Chief Justice of Punjab and Haryana High Court, Justice Saharya was made a chairman of the Central Review Committee. He was charged with reviewing all the cases filed under the Prevention of Terrorism Act. He also practiced as a senior advocate before the Honorable Supreme Court of India. Justice Saharya was the epitome of propriety, uprightness, and perfectionism. He was an outstanding person who made a great name for himself at a bar. Justice Saharya was dedicated and devoted to the cause of justice and always adhered to his principle. His judgments were lucid and to the point. On 20th May 2021, at the age of 80, Justice Saharya left for his eternal dwelling following COVID-19 complication. In his death, we have lost one of the most versatile members of the legal fraternity. His death must be grievous loss to the member of his family. I, on behalf of Government of and City of Delhi, and my team representing the Government of and City of Delhi before this Honorable Court, and my own behalf, express my heartfelt condolences to them. May God give them the strength to bear this irretrievable loss and bestow peace to the departed soul. Justice ARUN AGGARWAL was born on 21st August 1925. He did his matriculation privately from Punjab University, Lahore, and LLB from the Lahore Law College, Shimla. After getting enrolled as an advocate of East Punjab High Court at Shimla on 19th April 1951, Justice Aggarwal practiced at Shimla and Chandigarh. In September 1963, he was appointed as a district and session judge from the bar. Justice Aggarwal worked as additional district and session judge at Gurdaspur, Amritsar, Delhi, Mahasu, Kinnaur, Shimla, Bilaspur, and Sirmaur. He was appointed as substantively to the Delhi High Judicial Services at the initial constitution with effect from 17th May 1971. He worked as a registrar at Delhi High Court from 9th March 1971 to the 8th June 1971, and thereafter as a district and session judge, Delhi. On 7th March 1972, he was appointed as an additional judge of the Delhi High Court for a period of 2 years and was made a permanent judge on 7 July 1977. On 16th August 1987, he was made the Chief Justice of this Honorable Court. Justice ARUN AGGARWAL retires from 21st August 1987. Justice Aggarwal heard a number of cases during the emergency in which he upheld the right of liberty guaranteed under the Constitution. He strived to prevent the judiciary from submitting to an absolute government. Bharati Nyaya's case was one of the landmark judgments in which it was observed that the right to a writ of habeas corpus has not been suspended during an emergency. After the judgment in this case, Justice Aggarwal's terms as an additional judge was not extended. However, post-emergency, Justice Aggarwal was elevated to the Delhi High Court and his seniority was restored. Here I would like to quote Blaise Pascal, who said, "Justice and power must be brought together so that whatever is just may be powerful and whatever is the powerful may be just." Justice Aggarwal was a pillar of strength and support and father figure to many. He was a bachelor but took great care of his family and friends. Justice Aggarwal was a remarkable, fearless, honest, generous person. Justice Aggarwal suffered from no prejudices and has no weakness except for the cause of justice and litigant. He was painstaking while delivering judgments. Sophistication, modesty, calmness were some of his inviolable qualities of his personality. He was legal fraternity noble soul. On 15 June 2021, Justice Aggarwal passed away at the age of 95. I, on behalf of Government of and City of Delhi, my team representing the Government of and City of Delhi in this Honorable High Court, and my own behalf, express my heartfelt condolences to the members of bereaved family and pray Almighty to give peace to the departed soul of Justice Aggarwal. Thank you.
As a mark of respect to the departed souls, we shall now observe silence for 2 minutes. As a mark of respect to the departed souls, the working in the court is adjourned for the rest of the day.